as many times as I've seen Kyle McCord. I thought it has to be pre-Urban Meyer. And David Greenshield's also asking about, didn't run tempo, also asking about the perimeter blocking. Those seem to be a few other concerns or just adjustments to the offense.
I'm going to make a comment about the up tempo. Everyone's wrapped around the axle about the new timing rules. And when you think about the timing rules, let's say in a given game, there's 30 first downs that end up with the ball inbounds and the clock running. And then they would, after 7 seconds, put the ball down and roll the clock under the old rules. So that's, 3 minutes of clock time that's been taken out of this game, basically, because the clock never stops. And it's taken a few plays, maybe 2 possessions and 6, 8, 10 plays from each team in the course of the game. And you know how you negate that? By going up tempo, by snapping the ball at 15 on the play clock. Too many times Ohio State let that thing, they would get to the line of scrimmage with 20 and go, and then turn and look over to the sideline to, for 15 seconds to get the call. Bull crap, in my opinion. If you've got the better team and you want to jump on somebody and the conditions are adverse, and I don't give a crap what these people posted about, don't make the excuse about the conditions impact different people differently, okay? And if the conditions are adverse and you got the better team, attack. And Ohio State was tentative. Ohio State was passive in their offensive display in this game, and that isn't going to get it done against Notre Dame, Wisconsin, Penn State, or Michigan. You're going to go 1-3 in those 4 games if you play offense like you did in this game. And you negate the clock rules, cutting down the number of plays by knowing what you want to do, everybody being on the same page, and going out and executing. And they didn't do any of that. They got a D on all 3 of those margins, in my opinion. So I agree 100% with David. Go up tempo, at least have some tempo. You're running a play every 40 seconds. I mean, you've negated your advantage, in my opinion, when you do that.
You just got your training wheels off and you want to play in the GDX games, is what you're saying. You can't do that. You can't do that. You got a guy that you're still trying to bring along. And if you probably, he probably knows the play calls and everything. This isn't the NFL where every play call is like, 500 syllables or anything like that. I don't know if I necessarily want to go machine gun rate at that point. Now, I will agree with Steve that it felt like there was a massive lack of urgency. And you can have an up-tempo offense to the point of showing urgency, but coming out there and running plays every 17 seconds, I don't think is something that you're going to be doing with a first-time starter. You just can't do that. Now, could you get to a point of where you're feeling more comfortable with tempo when you go to Notre Dame? Absolutely. Do you need to sit there and maybe try some things out so you're not sitting there trying to snowboard the half pipe against Notre Dame? Yeah, probably. But in game 1 with adverse situations and a game that, yes, they got Ohio State scored right off the bat, and then everything kind of went to hell at that point. I don't know if I'm necessarily trying to, put a rise on the degree of difficulty at that point. So I have misgivings about that.
I think offensively on the road, you design it all week and you've got all these grand plans for everything you're going to do. And I would equate it to going on vacation, going to the beach for a week or wherever. And you have all of these things that you want to go do. I want to go see this. I want to go do this. And by like day 2 or day 3, you're like, you know what? I'm kind of tired. I just want to chill. I just want to relax. And by like day 6, you're just like, I just want to go home now. I'm ready to be home. And I think when coaches, they have these grand plans of what they want to do on the road. But once they get there and it's like, well, this is a little bit tougher than I expected, then it's just like, I just want to get home. I just want to get home the easiest way possible, the most sure way possible. Let's just, we'd love to have more plays, but you also don't want to put the defense in a bad situation. Although I think the way Indiana's offense was going, you couldn't put the Ohio State defense in a bad situation. So I'm interested to see how that evolves, because I do think, as I asked Ryan Day on Tuesday, because I asked him about the possessions and how do you keep from chasing possessions, because last year against Indiana they had 15, this year against Indiana they had 10, and 2 of those were at the end of the first half and the end of the game, when really, like, one was like a 38-second drive, the other was like a minute and 40 or something like that. So if Indiana gets a first down at the wrong time, you're talking 8 or 9 drives for Ohio State in this last game. Or if Ohio State gets some more first downs, you're talking 8 or 9 drives in a game. And so you, as Ryan Day told me, he said you have to execute. He told the team, we have to execute better and be more efficient, because our drives are going to be, the number is going to be smaller, especially when Ohio State likes to defer. So they may only get 4 drives in the first half in some of these games, because now it's easier to weaponize the clock if an offense wants to. But I think Ohio State was also okay having the clock weaponized and doing some of it as well. I do think at this point we are making too much of the clock rule, and I'm one of the most guilty parties. But when you look at the fact that at no time last year in any games did Ohio State have fewer than 11 drives, and then the first game this year they had 10, and with a couple of first downs on any drive, that could have been 7, 8, 9 instead of 10. Like, that's a concerning thing, especially when you have an offense that is breaking in some guys and would like to get as much experience as possible, score as many points as possible. And now you don't have nearly the number of drives that you are used to. You've got to find those points somewhere, but you have to find them in the same, in fewer drives. So you just have to be more efficient and expect scoring to be down.